Crypto kids, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new week in crypto. I think it's time that we try to put what has happened over the weekend a little bit behind us. It's going to be an incredibly tough thing to do. And believe me, even making this video when looking at the charts, it kind of, just looking at the charts in general makes me want to vomit a little bit because it was a sickening experience what took place over the weekend. Now that we're learning why it happened, it's mostly due to the largest exchange in the world. I don't want to name it, but clearly there was some fundamental issues with that exchange that led to things get out of control, specifically for altcoin pairs. I've covered it in more detail on the most recent live stream I conducted on the Moonshow channel, so you can go ahead and watch that. I'll leave a card, but it was just so unnecessary. Yes, President Trump posted that there was going to be tariffs and all, but that tariff announcement was nowhere near of importance to cause what happened on the Bitcoin USDT and all the other USDT/USDC pairs on other altcoins. It was just completely unnecessary of an event which took place due to fundamental issues with the larger exchanges, and we are the ones that need to face the consequence of it. Anyways, no need to go over it anymore, I think, because what's happened has happened. It was a traumatic experience, a horrible experience, but we need to slowly move on. That's the only thing that we can do, because giving up, in my books, is not an option, and I'm sure that's the case for all of you guys too. So let's move on. Let's start this week fresh. Let's go into the Bitcoin charts, and then we can go into altcoins. So with regards to Bitcoin, what I see here is if we remove the USDT chart and get rid of those wicks and focus on the spot only pair, we can see that currently the price is trading at $114,500. We're getting resistance at the highest demand area from the volume profile. So we came down to, on the spot price, the actual level we expected, which was the value area low and the CME chart. They are simultaneously the same level. The thing is, because the CME chart was not operational throughout the entirety of the crypto dump that was experienced on Saturday morning, Friday night for Americans, we weren't able to fully close the CME gap at $111,000. Most people have the misconception that when the spot price fills the CME gap, it's closed, but actually you have to fill it on the Bitcoin CME chart. So ultimately, I think we're going to come down to the CME chart, the CME gap once more to $111,000. We are getting resistance from the highest demand area from the volume profile anyways. So I think we will come down to 111, and then Bitcoin will make the decision of if we want to see the bounce or come down to 108.2. And I think Bitcoin will decide to see the bounce. But in the short term, I'm still expecting a little bit more of a dump back to the CME gap, and then we can see the rebound. That is the immediate short-term price action chart. But when we go to the macro price, I'm actually much more bullish. You guys know the correlation of the bull and bear market support band, the 54 simple moving average. This is a trading system that I've gone over multiple times, but maybe you're new to the channel. So I'll explain it to you just one more time in a simple way. So what I have here is the bull and bear market support bands and the 54 simple moving average. The bull and bear market support band is made up of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, and then you have the 54 SMA, which is the blue line. Every single cycle, when these two cross into each other, it begins the bear markets. It happened in the prior cycle, the cycle prior to that, and even the cycle prior to that. Them crossing bearishly into each other marks the beginning of the bear markets. And so far, they are far apart from each other, meaning that there is still bullish momentum left in Bitcoin, and that is good news. Throughout the cycles, Bitcoin tends to find support from the bull and bear markets support band. It's enough to usually keep Bitcoin's parabola intact. That was the case in the parabola in 2020 to 2021. You saw two lines of support after COVID during the October months, and then that propelled you into the huge 60K area. And then you came down, and then 54 simple moving average was your final line of support to then see the final rally back to brand new all-time highs. In 2017, the gradient wasn't as steep. It was a little bit more similar to this cycle. So you were testing the bull and bear market support band frequently as you were climbing the ladder to reach the $20,000 point. And in the cycle before that, the bull and bear market support band was enough. It's just in the last cycle and in this cycle, you had to introduce the 54 simple moving average as an extra layer of backbone to come down to, find support, and then keep pushing the price to the upside. And that has been the case. That 54 simple moving average has been doing a phenomenal job. In the first round of tariffs, we bottomed at the 74 area at the 54 simple moving average. In the prior, I would argue, as bad of a liquidation event or a similar liquidation event in August of 2024, this wick also hits the 54 simple moving average and it propelled you into a new high. And we exited the bear market once we found resistance, and then we broke that resistance in 2023 February, entering the new bull market of this cycle. So it's a very important level. You even got resistance in March of 2022 before entering into the bear market. It's a good moving average, and the bull and bear market support band is there to give support to the parabola. So if we look at this chart, this is the USD chart. So we still, on this chart, it appears though as we held at the bull and bear market support, but on the USDT pairs, we did almost come down exactly to the 54 simple moving average, right? And us coming there and finding support after a traumatic event, to me, is actually a good sign that we can still see one more leg to the upside for Bitcoin specifically. So for the macro point of view, for me, Bitcoin still looks good. When we go into the S&P, yesterday we broke the news that President Trump tweeted or posted on Truth Social saying that don't worry about China, it will all be fine. So over that 48-hour basis, everything everything that people got worried about and started selling was essentially for nothing. And on Friday nights, I was going to do the stream covering President Trump's press conference, but I was like, okay, the market is used to tariffs. This was the first time that tariffs were a big issue, and it led to the dump going into March. But markets for sure should have learned by now that these tariffs are just a way for Trump to get what he wants. And he's pretty successful in doing so. And they never have the implications, the doomsday implications that we all assume is going to take place. That's never the case. So for this dump here, I really assume that markets learned their lesson. And we wouldn't have seen those extreme wicks to the downside on the altcoin pairs if the exchanges issue wasn't there. Again, I don't want to name any names. If you want to find out what I'm talking about, you can go to the Moon Show live stream. I spoke more about that in detail over there. But, I assumed that everything would be fine and we wouldn't see on the altcoin market at all the drops that we experienced. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll go to bed. It's 1 a.m. I'm tired. I'll go to sleep. And yeah, just 20 minutes later, the horrible crash began. But because President Trump last night announced that everything with China will likely be fine, the stock market didn't see the dip that crypto did as the stock market was closed over the weekend. And today we're up 1.65%. And everything is essentially back to normal. And because everything is back to normal, I think we're about to see the most hated rally in crypto history. Think about it. You liquidate everyone and then you send everything to brand new all-time highs. It is the most annoying, the most horribly annoying scenario that will likely happen because this is the markets. And when you look into the charts to support that claim, the charts look as though we're about to see that rally. October 2017, you see the huge drop from altcoin pairs relative to Bitcoin as their underlying value, and then you see a huge altcoin season following it. In October, in 2020, during the COVID crash, the same thing happens, and then you see a huge rally in altcoins. And now we're seeing the same drop of altcoins relative to their Bitcoin pairs, and likely we're now going to see an increase to the upside. The M2 money supply delay with the total 3 crypto cap chart still exists, and I think we're going to see the breakouts very soon. And for me, the winners are going to be Ethereum. We spoke about why Ethereum is great 2 videos back. I'll show you again. We bounced perfectly from the prior resistance, now turned into support of the bull and bear market of the bullish pennants. We hit the bull bear market support band like we did so in the prior cycle and the cycle before that in the months of October, which led to drastic rallies to the upside. We can't see the 2017 cycle on this chart, but we found very good support. We also have the bull flag support, which we bounced from, and I posted in the CryptoKits community that exactly at this line of support at 3.7, I'm buying. And we saw a great bounce on the price action yesterday, which was amazing. Overall, I think that Ethereum is bullish, and I think it's going to be a winner. So are the other altcoins. Like, you can go to the Cardano chart, and this looks horrible, right? On the USDT pairs, this wick looks horrible. But what we need to understand is that that wick is not the fault of Cardano. Cardano didn't stop innovating. Cardano is still a functional and a productive project. This wick wasn't Cardano's fault. This wick on AVAX was not AVAX's fault. So do I give up on AVAX now because that wick happened and say, you know what, this is a scam and I'm not going to leverage it and take advantage of altcoin season when it does end up happening. No, I don't think that's the right approach. With Sui, am I going to give up on Sui? I'm not going to give up on Sui. Sui is doing a fantastic job, and price is still at the support line of the bullish pennant, right? So am I going to give up on Sui because this wick happened, or am I going to try to forget about that horrible traumatic event and focus on the fundamentals of Sui, of it being a good project, and we are at support on the bullish pennant? I will choose that option over giving up on it. And most people will give up. And when it does likely go to brand new all-time highs, everybody's going to be very annoyed. And that's why I think it is the likely event. I know it may not make sense to you, but if you're in crypto for a while, I think you understand what I mean. And when you go to the Fear and Greed Index, we're currently in extreme fear levels. So this is the time, in my opinion, to be buying. I'm just being cautious about this multi-cycle resistance on Bitcoin, but regardless of what happens here, altcoins still will have their time to shine. And that's pretty much it for today's video. I want to highlight again that all of my Pinex spots, apart from my, my normal altcoin derivatives trades on Weeks and other exchanges, they got annihilated apart from Ethereum and Solana. But all of my Pinex spots survived the purge and they were able to buy the dip. And this is a tutorial. I'm going to make a tutorial video on Pinex because I'm super impressed by the fact that this happened. So if you want to front run the tutorial, sign up to Pinex with the second link. You will actually get a deposit $100 and receive $100 USDT bonus once you do that. And if you deposit 10,000 USDT, you will receive $1,000 of bonus. And with Weeks, we're doing something incredible too. Limited to the first 1,000 people that sign up with the first link in the description of today's video. Every single person, every single 1,000 people that sign up to Weeks with that first link in the description, they will be eligible to claim 50 to 200 USDT. The exchange will airdrop randomly. All you need to do is register to Weeks with this button, upload a screenshot of any sort of liquidation event you may have faced on a position on Binance, OKX, or any other crypto exchange that's worth $1,000 or more, and deposit 200 USDT to the exchange and complete a trading volume of $5,000. We're trying to do our best to give whatever we can back to the community. I know this is a very small amount, but I think Weeks are trying their best, and we want to give you as much as we can because I sympathize. I know how horrible it was, and we want to try to give you guys some sort of payback on some, even if it's little, some funds, right? So that you get payback on the drop that occurred, which was nobody's fault apart from the larger exchanges. And I'm going to leave this article in the chat for you to go and read because I think it summarized it pretty well. But yeah, it was just horrible. It sucks because there was nothing that we could do about it, even if you were smart, using low leverage, having your stop losses in place, because price dropped so vigorously, most people's stop losses didn't even trigger. And it didn't matter if you had a 2x leverage position, you still got liquidated. I got liquidated. Even if you were smart about this, on altcoin pairs, it didn't matter. And it all essentially lies on fundamental issues that is linked to the bigger exchanges. And I think it's very, very sad and it has to be fixed ASAP because, if it's not fixed, then what's going to happen in the next scary event? Is the same thing going to take place? Unlikely, but this has to be studied and understood. And I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video for you to read this article because I was very impressed with this individual's explanation on why he thinks we saw $19 billion of a catastrophe where it should have been only a few $100 million, which would have been still bad, but not $19 billion. And with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. Those are just a summary of some few thoughts since the weekend. But guys, I'll see you all on tomorrow's video. I think it's very important that we try to move on. It's really, really a tough thing to do. It's easy to say, very tough thing to do. Like I'm looking at crypto. I'm tired of looking at crypto. I've not slept much. I know that's the case with all of you too. So it's very important that we just chill out a little bit and calm down and try to move on. And that's my objective for this week. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all on tomorrow's video. Bye bye, guys.